Hello and welcome to Qtr Time podcast. I'm Lucy G.
And I'm Lucy P. And we're here to bring you all the netball goodness you never knew you needed.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Qtr Time podcast. Luce, day 4 and 5, now in the books. We are absolutely screaming through the competition. What are your thoughts on the last couple of days?
I just can't believe that we're over halfway through. Mm-hmm. That to me is completely bonkers. I just can't, I don't know where the time's gone, but basically it's been amazing. I think we've seen some really interesting matches. I think the disparity between the top teams and the lower teams has been quite clear in these stages, but we're now getting into the sort of next few matches where it becomes quite even. We get obviously those playoffs and placings. The semi-finalists are now confirmed, so we do know that it will be England, Australia, New Zealand and Jamaica. But there's been a lot of discussion around who's going to finish top of each group and also which teams are going to match up better in the semis. It's impossible to predict at the moment, for sure.
Agreed.
Jamaica's stats is something quite interesting that's come out the last few days. They are second overall for shooting percentage and goals scored, top for interceptions, second for deflections. However, they are also inside the top 4 for match play errors, footworks and handling errors.
Inside the top 4?
Yeah.
Wow.
The other 3 top nations are all down on the bottom of those error stats.
As you would expect.
Exactly. So that's something quite interesting. But I mean, that shows just how much ball they're turning over, that they're making these errors and then still winning by like stonking margins. Aussie and New Zealand are where you can expect them to be in terms of the leaderboard. And the stats, interestingly, they put England are 4th for goals scored and shooting percentage, 3rd for interceptions, deflections and pickups. So I've seen a bit of talk about people saying, oh, England should be worried, they're down there. However, it's really difficult to compare these stats at the moment because obviously Jamaica and Australia have both played the same teams and England and New Zealand have played the other teams. So England have actually conceded the fewest goals throughout the tournament and they're very low in terms of those errors.
Yeah, it's kind of like apples and oranges, isn't it? You can't. The only ones you could really compare are Australia, Jamaica and then England, New Zealand to each other because they've had the same teams played. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I don't know if I'd say England were in trouble per se, but I don't know. We haven't seen a lot of the sort of core starting 7 together, which does make me a little bit nervous. But, you know, resting, rotations, I get it. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. So what have we got coming up on today's show?
So today we're recapping all the matches from days 4 and 5, bringing you a roundup of the results and highlighting any key talking points and our 3-word summaries for those games. We'll also bring you our games of the day and our players of the day. And we'll take a quick look ahead to day 6 onwards of the competition.
Oh, so not much then. Okay. No. Right, let's dive straight in then. The first game of day 4 of the competition was Australia-South Africa. Australia taking a bigger win than maybe some people anticipated, 74-49, and I've gone for a wilting flower. The Diamonds came out of the blocks firing just like we knew they would, but it was the errors in the opening few minutes that really did South Africa in. They had 12 match play errors in this game and they just missed some crucial shots that really could have changed the momentum of the game. Not a great day at the office for Goodman, who had just 5 attempts in 30 minutes of netball, which is a bit, right? There were a lot of personnel changes for South Africa, but you can tell they're missing those key players like a Pretorius and a Qtr, and there wasn't enough pressure being put on the Aussie attack, particularly the combo of Boetta and Wood, to be able to punish any Aussie mistakes, a few that they make, and rack up scoreboard pressure. Note, Boetta, Conan and Wood all shot at 100% in this game.
Frightening. Let's move on. Jamaica versus Barbados was up next and Jamaica took an enormous win, 103-24, and I said way too easy.
Yeah.
This was another huge scoreline against Barbados, with Jamaica racking up the highest score of the competition, their highest ever Commonwealth Games goal tally and their highest winning margin, 79. They chose to mix up their lineups and we saw Nelson get the start and Sterling out at goal defence for her 50th cap.
Nice.
Jamaica were just a class above, and Barbados couldn't match up to the physicality, and they were being pushed off the ball quite a lot. A combination of poor decision-making from Barbados and some insane athleticism gave Jamaica an incredible 23 intercepts on the stat sheet. 12 of these belong to Sterling.
Greedy.
30 goals in the last quarter alone, and an overall shooting percentage of a frightening 94.
Oh, God, they are just something else, aren't they?
Yep.
Following this one was England, Northern Ireland, with England taking a confident win at 71-27, and I've gone for quarter by quarter. It was a strong start for England, which again we would expect, and they were able to utilise a plethora of changes across the 4 quarters, including our first glimpse of Malcolm at wing attack, which we know there's a lot of chatter about that previously. The second quarter, though, is a bit of a weird one in my opinion. I just felt like the attacking end was so hesitant to give the ball and we had to work it so much. But then when Malcolm came off of wing A towards the end of the third quarter, it instantly just became so much more fluid and a much easier route to goal. It was, stark contrast. That being said, though, England only had 4 match play errors in the entire game, with 0 in quarter 3, which is quite impressive. It was a really physical game, actually, with 50 contacts to Northern Ireland compared to 26 for the Roses, and my heart was constantly in my mouth. Fair play to the Warriors, who've continued their good form following their game against Malawi.
Yeah, agreed. And the final game of day 4 was New Zealand versus Malawi. New Zealand winning this one at 69-50, and I said, working on fitness in the style of Lizzo.
Nice.
Malawi put in a hell of a shift in this game. It was a really, really good one. What a match.
Corker.
They started off really struggling with the zone defence in quarter 1, and New Zealand were absolutely textbook in their defensive structures, and it allowed Kelly Jury to pick up some really good ball on the fly. Quarter 2, Malawi sharpened their wits and their attacking line was pretty smooth, but then they began to tire in the third quarter, and New Zealand saw out the game comfortably from there.
Good game though, I really enjoyed that one.
Very enjoyable.
So our player of the day for day 4 of the comp, an honourable mention, as I said in the summary, to the 3 Aussie shooters who shot 100% in their game. At this level, I think that's really a hell of an achievement. It's incredibly difficult to do that and pretty scary for the oppositions. However, for this day, we've gone for Takondwa Luazi, the centre for Malawi. She has impressed me so much in this competition. She played 57 minutes in centre up against the likes of a Whitney Souness, a Shannon Saunders, Kate Hevenon, which is difficult enough in itself. And she was just incredible to watch. I just find her so dynamic and purposeful in her court craft. And she was really that proper connection between attack and defence. Her speed is insane. And honestly, you think she's fast on TV. Like, watching her in real life is just like another level. She had 28 feeds into the circle. She was finding great availability around circle edge. But I think the most impressive thing for me about her game was the decision-making, about when to reset, when she needed to punch forward through the zone, when Malawi were getting pushed together. Unfortunately, we did see her go off with just 3 minutes left to play in that game, with what looks like a bit of a knee injury, hopefully nothing too nasty. We'll just have to wait and see whether she's fit enough to play Trinidad and Tobago tonight, because she is really critical for that lineup.
Yeah, and, you know, she is not the tallest player, but wow, she matches up so well against these big girls. It's just impressive to watch.
Yeah, love her.
Moving on to our game of the day, it was, of course, New Zealand versus Malawi. It was an incredible one to watch. If you haven't watched it, do go back and have another look. The first thing to talk about is the pressure that New Zealand put on the centre pass. Vinkumbo, who was playing goal defence, had 27 centre pass receives, which is 12 more than Liz Watson, who played a full 60 minutes at wing attack in the game against South Africa.
Wow.
New Zealand were just flooding the line and giving Malawi no forward options on that centre pass, and this meant that Malawi had to put in so many extra passes. They were having to work it around and work it around and work it around. I think that's why they really began to tire. The first half was very even, New Zealand only winning each quarter by 3, but as we mentioned before, that second half, that fatigue impacted. Not only are New Zealand extremely fit as a team, they were also being rotated in what we learned after the game was actually pre-planned combinations for each quarter. One final thing to note in terms of the stats for this game. Match play errors loose, 12 for Malawi. Guess how many for New Zealand?
I mean, they're pretty clinical. I'm going to say 6.
3.
Yikes.
Moving swiftly on again, that is just frightening, isn't it? I mean, fair play to New Zealand. They are so clinical. It was pretty much goal for goal in the first half, as we mentioned. And this also means that New Zealand have experienced that kind of pressure already in the tournament, going goal for goal with another team. Whereas the other top teams, they haven't really been challenged yet and they've sort of flown through. It sort of reminds me of England 2018. You know, they had this series of quite tough games going into the final. Aussies had cruised. We all know
what
how
happened there.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, 3 match play errors in 60 minutes of netball, that's less than 1 per quarter.
Yeah.
And like that includes your footwork, your bad hands, your
With
offsides.
all of those new players coming on as well, coming fresh on into the game. Yeah.
RIP, all other teams in the camp. So moving on to day 5 of the competition. First game for this day was Australia versus Wales, with another win for Australia, 79-33. And sticking with the Lizzo theme, I've gone for Good as Hell.
Nice.
Oh, I apologise for my singing this early in the morning. A large portion of quarter 1 in this game was really competitive. It was a great watch, but Australia just turned the screw and scored 20, 22 and 22 goals in the first 3 quarters respectively. Sarah Clow got a nod at the beginning, she got the start, and she racked up a handy 9 gains, 3 intercepts, 7 deflections, 2 rebounds and 9 pickups. Whew. Speaking of number 9, there were 9 handling errors from Wales, which was a little bit disappointing from them. Wales were also being pushed really close together in the mid-court and just having to work really hard to get themselves free. I just don't think they could quite match the Aussie speed on transition, really. But the big news for this game is the Paige Hadley injury. She was rested for this game, didn't take to court at all, and Steph Wood had an ankle roll as well in this game. So it is slightly concerning for Oz, a few injury niggles there. However, they do have an embarrassment of riches on the bench, so hopefully it won't impact them too much.
Yeah, absolutely. I really hope we can see Paige again in the competition. It would be such a pity for her to miss out. Next up, it was Jamaica versus Scotland. Jamaica taking a comfortable win, 78-34, and I said fast and furious.
Nice.
This was a pretty disastrous start to the game from Scotland, whose attack end was just not firing at all again. I felt like they were being a bit naive in attack, or almost like they hadn't done their homework on Jamaica, because they were completely playing into their hands, loads of lofty aerial passes over the top, which are just never going to fly. It was a 25-6 opening quarter compared to a 17-10 between Australia and Scotland.
Okay.
Make of that what you will.
Okay.
The second and final quarter were better for Scotland. Quarter 2 was only 15-12, but the prowess of Jamaica was on full display in this game, and they just keep getting better.
Yeah, I found this one weird, because obviously we know, especially with Tamsin as their coach, they absolutely would have done their homework, but I was watching it, but like, what are you doing? Like, stop it. Like, you can't do aerial passes.
It's the decision making.
Yeah, I think they're
under pressure.
Yeah, under pressure. Under pressure.
This is not a musical.
I'm sorry. My life is a musical. Right, moving on. Next game was England-Uganda. This was a corker. England taking the win 56-35. And I've gone for bodies flying everywhere. That is real. Like, that is true. That is not an exaggeration. Bodies literally were flying everywhere. This game was extremely physical, and we even saw our first suspension for the Ugandan defender Shafi Nwanja with 2 seconds left on the clock for the entire game, which I found hilarious. She ended the game on 23 contact penalties in total, which is...
Wowza.
Yeah, it was wild. In every quarter, except quarter 4, Uganda had more time in possession, even though they scored fewer goals, which I think just demonstrates how much they're being made to work the ball around. And that is credit to the monstrous defence from England. England actually kept Uganda to their lowest score of the tournament so far. They scored, it was 40-53 against New Zealand. So I think that's a really good effort from them. But I was really, really surprised at the lack of control that the umpires seemed to have in this game. It was just way too physical for my liking.
Yeah, I do agree with you, and I think we will come back to that, obviously, next. The final game was New Zealand versus Trinidad and Tobago, with New Zealand scoring 80 to Trinidad and Tobago's 24. So yeah, this was a bit of an interesting one. I said in my 3-word summary, just ticking over.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah. This was to be expected for a matchup between New Zealand and Trinidad when you look at world rankings, etc. But how lovely was it to hear the crowd really get behind the Calypso girls and give them so much encouragement? I really love that.
Yeah.
New Zealand were clinical across the court with only 4 match players in this one, all 4.
God.
They're increasing. No, they're not. That's
sloppy netball.
Just terrible. In the entire 60 minutes, which is pretty impressive with the number of changes they made, as it can take people a bit of time to warm into it. They had a whopping I can't even speak. This is so high. 102 feeds into the circle.
Yeesh.
And they are coming into some really good form just at the right time. I'm concerned about this trajectory, to be honest.
I feel like I'm embodying that emoji of the smiling face with the singular tear coming down the cheek, having the prospect of having to play them next.
However, again, apart from against this Trinidad and Tobago side, I am pretty sure that England's goal difference against the teams has been better on each match, but it's really difficult to say.
Yes it is. So moving on to our player of the day for day 5, I've gone for our very own Nat Metcalf. I mean, I don't have any super flashy stats for Nat in this game. It was a solid performance. She had 19 goal assists, 29 feeds into the circle. But for me, the thing that impressed me most was just how she runs that attacking end. She absolutely bosses it. And it's like what we were saying with Luazi earlier. She knows instinctively exactly when to reset, exactly when to wait and hold and pause for that extra half a second to let her shooters get free. She just knows, and it's like poetry in motion watching her.
Yeah.
And so I don't really have any sort of stats that I'm pulling out for this game for her. But it was just, she impressed me so much with that. I thought, I can't really look past her.
Yeah, I think the other thing is I've never heard a crowd applaud someone getting free before. Yeah. Because she does it in such incredible style with the most amazing timing. I think that's the key as well. You will just see her lose her defender on the transverse line, dart down to circle edge, pop a lovely high ball over into the shooter. And the people were literally applauding that movement, that creativity and the turning and twisting. It's sublime.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you say that, because that is one of the main things that I thought watching it. I was like, Nat just seems to have so much space, but obviously she doesn't have the space. She's creating that space for her. Her wing defense was doing everything that she could, but it just wasn't enough.
It's a masterclass.
And I think as well, it doesn't matter what shooter she has in the circle, regardless of who it is, that combination and that connection with them is silky smooth, which is really, really difficult.
Totally agree.
So she was our player of the day. Who have we got for our game of the day?
So it was also England versus Uganda for the game of the day, and England came out firing. Nat Metcalf playing the sublime netball that we've just spoken about, getting that beautiful depth on the second phase. There was a lot of physicality in this game. I think that's one of the key talking points that we did speak to Jess Thirlby about afterwards. There was also at one point a yelp from Ellie Cardwell when she was being pinched, I think, in the leg area.
I don't even know if it was the lady area.
Oh,
dear. It was, a bit weird.
Yeah, lots of bashing, grabbing, body on body. And like you said before, it wasn't necessarily being controlled by the umpires in terms of game management until quite late on in the game. The umpires were calling a lot of penalties, but these I do feel needed to be escalated sooner.
100%.
They just weren't escalating anything in those early stages. By the end of the game, England had conceded 47 contact penalties and 59 for Uganda. Oof. That's just contact penalties.
Yikes.
Uganda currently sit 3rd for penalties overall, behind Northern Ireland and Wales. It was by no means clinical from an England perspective, but boy, they're making a trademark out of that signature, lose the ball, win it straight back, which I actually think is even more disheartening for the opposition.
Yeah.
Because they think, oh yeah, we got it, and then they're snatched it away. It's like giving a baby a small sweet by its mouth and then just ripping it from its mouth and throwing it away. Anyway, moving on. I think we're a bit tired, Luce, aren't we?
Yeah, maybe it's us.
In other bad news, there was a heavy fall and Proskovia Peace ended going down and getting a bit of a tangle of legs with Layla Guskoth. She was replaced by Cholok, but the Ugandan attack, they didn't really settle. There were a few missed shots, a few bad hands. It wasn't really connecting. Defensively, those England structures are really strong, and this was a decent performance from the Roses, but I do think the physicality is worrying.
Yeah, I mean, thank goodness they've got a rest day today because, yeah, that game just was a little bit out of control for me, and it got a little bit uncomfortable to watch at times, actually. Yeah. But hey-ho, we move onwards and upwards. So we're just going to have a little recap of how the table looks after day 5 now and look ahead to day 6 of the competition. So, starting with the table, England are currently top of Pool B and they have the lowest number of goals scored against them of any team in the competition. So, you're absolutely right of what you said earlier.
Yeah.
You couldn't get a piece of paper between us and New Zealand and Australia, Jamaica at the moment. Both us and Australia are topping the pools based on the smallest of goal margins. If the table stays as is, obviously we've got more games happening, but we would be looking at a South Africa-Uganda 5th-6th playoff, which will be one heck of a game.
Yeah.
Would love that. Things not looking too bright for Scotland at the moment, who are currently positioned to play in that 9th-10th playoff. But I'm pretty sure they stated their top 8 ambitions prior to the games. So unless I'm misremembering that, I thought they did. But yeah, so not looking too great for them. But there's still time for things to change. However, for Wales, opposite story, they're chasing down a 7th place spot at the moment, which would be great because that's higher than their current ranking, and that would be up against Malawi as it stands, and I think that would be a cracking game.
Yeah, no, I think that would be really good. I wouldn't be able to call that, I don't think. In the form that Wales have been in, they're scoring a lot of goals, and they could put scoreboard pressure on early and then take the win.
Yeah, be really interesting to see.
So, looking ahead to day 6 today, Wednesday, we've got South Africa, Wales. That should be a good one. Uganda, Northern Ireland, Scotland, Barbados, and Malawi, Trinidad and Tobago. And then tomorrow is the big day. We've got a lot of key matchups. We've got 6 games happening tomorrow.
God.
Clear your diaries, whatever you're supposed to be doing. And we also then are building towards the placings, the semis. It's all happening. I can't cope.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the South Africa-Wales game. Obviously, they had the test series just prior to the Com Games. They only lost the second game by 10, I think the goal margin was. South Africa haven't been in great form this competition. That could be, there's potential for an upset.
I think there's potential. I think it's unlikely because I think South Africa, you know, we've said this before, they were very wounded by Jamaica. They came out strong in the next game. They were wounded by Australia. They're trending towards coming out strong in the next game. But we'll wait and see. I think it would be amazing.
Yeah.
It would be really great.
Oh, I'd love that.
Keeping everything crossed, but I think it's important to stay balanced. I think South Africa will take it.
I think they will, but I'm going to claim my 1/8 Welsh heritage for this game. But yeah, go on Wales. Neutral podcast.
Neutral podcast. Go on all the teams equally.
Go Sports.
Go Roses. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Qtr Time podcast. We're bringing you daily coverage from the Commonwealth Games with new episodes, live podcasts and social media content. So keep your eye on our social media channels for all the info you need, including our content schedule.
And make sure you subscribe to the podcast and follow us on social media at Qtr Time Pod for the latest netball updates. Do get involved in the conversation online by letting us know what you think of the matches throughout the games, which players you've got your eye on. We really do love hearing from you, so please do get in touch. We actually had Ella Powell-Davies' brother get in contact with us yesterday. Yeah. Hi, Henry.
Out.
Yeah.
Hi, Henry. Amazing. And some really exciting news. If you missed it already, we're organising an in-person meetup in Birmingham on Saturday, 6th of August from 12 till 2 in between the 2 semi-finals. All the details are up on our Instagram page, so do check it out and hope to see you there. Let us know if you're coming as well. And don't forget, we have 2 live podcasts coming up at 8 p.m. on Friday, 5th of August and 6 p.m. on Saturday, 6th of August as well.
And finally, we'd really appreciate it if you could just take a moment to rate and review, as it helps other people to find the podcast. If you enjoy listening to the pod, do let us know and spread the word with your netball pals so that even more people can get involved. Take care, everyone, and see you soon. Bye.
Bye.